Folks, happy Friday and welcome to the Freedom from the Press podcast. My name is Jason Robertson and I'm here with my partner in crime,
Todd Peterson. Thanks for joining us, folks. Jason, it was a week of absolute meltdowns. I'm looking at the view count here. I don't think Facebook likes it very much that, you know what, we're not doing this. Democrats expose themselves. We are just hitting play on these videos. We're not exposing Dems. Dems did it all without us. Thank you very much. Well, what a week of these hearings, Jason.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And hey, shout out in the Rumble chat, K-Gun Girl, first one in. And Todd, I gotta say, do we get Kev today? Like, does Kev check in or is he still mad?
I don't know. I mean, I had Kev on my Monday appearance with Wayne Dupree this week, and Kev was all about it. So maybe it's not me. Maybe it's you.
Right. Oh my gosh. And we have Cooper Jerry as a millionaire living my best life. I'm giving out 10 grand to the first 5 people who send me a friend request. Folks, that's a scam. I don't know if you know that.
You know, we could try it. Should we try it, Jason?
Yeah, let's try it. I'd like to be a millionaire. Oh my gosh. Today's show, though, yeah, like Todd said, Facebook, as much as I like the new Zuckerberg, what he's saying he's going to do, not really necessarily seeing it as much. So we can even see where like these initial pushes for the podcast aren't getting sent out. So folks, we're going to ask you, do us a favor, give us a thumbs up on whatever platform you're watching, drop a comment, hit the share button, like, comment, share. That helps us get our reach out, because today we're going to talk about how the Democrat Party is just destroying itself.
And if you've been watching the show, you've known for a while, there's nothing stable or sane about the Democrat politicians, the policies they promote. But Jason, they took it to a whole nother level this week. I mean, they can't even have a basic conversation about, freedom in this country, science. They're the big party of science, except for some of the things, folks, just a heads up, we are doing Rumble only when we talk about the RFK hearing. I think you can imagine why. But they just lost their minds. We've got clips of Amy Klobuchar, other senators whose names I don't even remember. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. But they just scream and shout and pull their hair out like we had Tim Kaine doing and Bernie Sanders, these wild man manic hairstyles that they got. That's all they have left at this point is yelling, because Trump has melted their brain. The loss of their power is melting their brains quite literally, Jason.
Yeah, and do we start out with this clip from Nicole? Like, I think this pretty well sums up kind of what we're going to talk about today. And you want to maybe preface, Todd, explaining who Nicole is?
Yeah, I did a background check 5 minutes ago. So Nicole Shanahan, she ran with RFK as the independent third party. Then RFK dropped out, endorsed Donald Trump, as we all know from the past year. But at the time, people said, oh, can we trust Nicole? She made all of her money in California, Silicon Valley. Turns out, maybe you know this, but Nicole Shanahan was married to Google's founder, Sergey Brin. Dude is worth like $150 billion. They divorced after a rumored affair with Elon Musk, between her and Musk, I should say, not Brin and Musk. Got $1 billion in the settlement there. So she is doing quite all right. But now that you're worth $1 billion, you can kind of say whatever you want to. So she joined RFK, had a lot of money for the campaign. Neither of them needs the money. The Kennedy legacy, the Sergey Brin divorce. Jason, always worth saying that it's good to be a pretty woman. I will never be worth $1 billion no matter what I do. But you know what? She can just go find Sergey Brin, provide some good stuff in the bedroom, get married, get divorced, $1 billion. There you go. But let us take a listen. Unless you want to add on to that too.
I was going to say, Todd, we might sleep with Sergey Brin for $1 billion. I don't know.
I mean, you just had a colonoscopy. How much worse could it get?
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's listen to what Nicole has to say.
The first thing my fiance said to me this morning as we were watching it was he looked over at me and he says, I don't think you hate these Democrats enough based on...
I just have to say, this is my motto. This should be everybody's motto. You can't hate the media enough. You can't hate the government enough. But specifically, you cannot hate these Democrats enough. That it's always true. This has never failed.
Their line of questioning, their attitude, their complete disregard for the impact of what they were saying, and the fact that millions of Americans were hearing these words and hearing these unfounded criticisms of a guy who has given his life to the Democratic Party up until just recently. So, I think they're shooting themselves in the foot right now, because MAGA and MAHA, they're bipartisan. It's now a unity movement. and they're shooting themselves in their foot. The Democrats are going to lose so many more supporters, I think, after today.
If only, Jason. Oh, it got dark in Jason's office.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm looking at the Rumble and I'm trying to figure out, folks, someday we're going to hire a professional video person who can help make it look like my camera is not quite as retarded as, oh no, I said it's
not even 7 minutes in, Jason.
I'm not even 7 minutes in. This is wild. Yeah, and it's funny because like I do the Wayne Dupree podcast, I leave all the same setup, we run the same software, and like I'm looking at Rumble, like why does it look so whited out? Anyways, what are you gonna do? Nicole here though nails it. So Democrats at some level, they have gotten crazier and crazier and crazier. And I mean, I remember, I'm old enough to remember when it was like Bill Clinton. At the time, we didn't know Bill Clinton maybe liked other activities that would be questionable. But Bill Clinton was at least like normal, smooth talking guy who had pretty reasonable positions. Even Barack Obama, when he ran the first time, Todd, like if you just listen to what he said, sounded very kind of milquetoast, smooth talking. Democrats have lost their freaking mind. And that's what we're going to show in these videos. They are screaming harpies and lunatics. And somebody like Nicole Shannon, who is an attractive, well-spoken female, she was a Democrat. RFK Jr. was a Democrat. He was running to be the president of the United States on the Democrat side like 6 months ago, 8 months ago. He was from one of the legacy families, and like his big thing is like there's something wrong with big pharma. We need to eat more healthy. We need to get people outside exercising, all those sorts of things, and they lose their mind. But like Todd said, we're going to cover that part of the hearing in the Rumble only part, which is the second hour. Because if we stream that on YouTube, Facebook, some of these other platforms, they would hit the unpublished button on our pages. You had that this week, right, Todd, on YouTube?
A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about RFK and Fauci and science and studies, and YouTube said you are not allowed to ask questions. I was just asking questions, nukaroo, and they said we took down your video. That is your first warning, first and only warning. Otherwise, do you like your channel? You better not say that again. Jason,
look at that. They actually removed your video, and we are super cautious where we'll just frame things up, kind of let our audience kind of roll with it a little bit, you know, fill in the blanks. But
I know you always hear about this. My friends cannot fathom when I say I have to tiptoe on Facebook and YouTube. All your normie Democrat voter friends and family members, they hear these rumors, these conspiracy theories about big tech doesn't really censor. I mean, never mind the fact that Biden versus Missouri proved that the government colluded with big tech to cover up stories and facts during the COVID pandemic. But no, it's just a conservative conspiracy theory. I'm just a regular Minnesotan. Jason, I'm not a big name social media guy, influencer. Just me, Todd Peterson, up in Minnesota. And I experienced YouTube censorship firsthand. And I like to think that I'm not outrageous or Alex Jonesy out there or Nick Fuentes. Just me, just Todd Peterson. And boom, there goes my video on YouTube.
Right. And like I say, Todd and I try to be pretty cautious, especially when we're streaming on some of these platforms. But I think oh my gosh, it's Dee Dee in the house.
That's two.
We got Dee Dee back.
All right. Now, Jason, can I make a plug for Rumble for a second? I love Mark's comments. I love Don's comments. I love Kathleen's comments. Folks, you get special praise and recognition when you join us over on Rumble, though, because we have a Rumble community. Head over to rumble.com, get the app on your phone, desktop browser, rumble.com. Search out the American Tribune. That is our channel where we stream live, and we'll continue to stream once the Facebook feed ends. Kathleen, love that you're watching and commenting. Thanks for doing that. Don, spot on comment there. Thanks for watching and commenting. Mark, 100% correct here. Head over to Rumble, join our Rumble community family at the American Tribune. We have a lot of fun over there when we do Rumble only.
Yeah, because we get to say things that we can't say. Oh, do we get into these hearing clips, Todd?
I think we just got to dive. We promised hearing clips. I think we gotta show the people what they came for today.
Yeah, you know what though? Before we go into these clips, so we got Kash, we got Tulsi, and we have RFK Jr. How many of those three are going to be confirmed?
I honestly am not positive. You have a lot of time. And to be clear, it's not going to be Democrats that block the nominations, the confirmations. They are in the minority in the Senate, in both the committees and then both the Senate at large. Republicans control all that, but it will be Republicans taking big pharma money that vote no.
I'm saying 2 out of 3. I just don't know who the one they don't get through is. That's my prediction.
Do you think a backroom deal is like, all right, Trump, you can have 2 of these guys?
Right.
Well,
I think that'll be the backroom deal. It's like, Trump, which of these 2 do you want?
If I had to choose, then I think I'd want to see Tulsi go. I absolutely want Kennedy. I think Kash is perfect. I mean, I like Tulsi, but I don't know.
I was going to say I want Kash more than anybody because I want somebody to go into the FBI and expose how much awful things our intelligence community's done. They have spent so much time, instead of keeping Americans safe, doing things to surveil us and all that kind of garbage. It's ridiculous. Oh my God, Falley's in the house.
Here they come. The whole crew is joining us. Like we said, folks, Rumble. Join us on Rumble.
We love the Rumble. Well, and like Dee Dee said, truly, once you use the Rumble app, you'll never use another podcast streaming app.
Yeah, why would you?
Takes a little while to get used to, but like if you like this kind of content, there's a bunch of shows over there. We recommend ours, of course. But like it's not censored and people can actually say what they think. It's remarkable. And don't get me wrong, we could cater our message on these other platforms, make way more money doing it on YouTube or Facebook or that kind of thing than Rumble. But for us, it's about connecting with our audience and sharing the truth of what we think is really going on.
Yeah. Well, here we go. I think you know what, Kash is your guy. Let's start with some Kash clips here. Here is Kash going after Nancy Pelosi, and oops, some of the narratives are getting exposed here.
Defense, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and myself, and the president authorized up to 20,000 plus National Guardsmen and women to secure any security measures necessary related to the Capitol. So we were moving to the fullest extent of the law before the requisite request came from a local governing authority days ahead of time.
And while you were chief of staff at DOD.
All right, so folks, that was pretty spicy there. I think we had it on mute to begin with. I'm going to replay that, then we'll listen to Ted Cruz's follow-up question. First, I want to give a shout out to Paul Reese of Split Rock Coffee. Good morning, all. Thank goodness it's Friday. Paul, thanks for joining the chat and the podcast. Folks, if you want to get delicious coffee delivered to your door, go to splitrockcoffee.com. Use promo code TOD10 for instant savings. Subscribe and save today. Delicious, fresh ground coffee delivered to your door every month. Don't go to the grocery store anymore. Don't try to figure out what you want to buy. Find what you like on splitrockcoffee.com and never worry about it again.
Love it.
All right. And then I laughed when the video was playing Democrat is synonymous with asshole. I might have to use that. All right. Let's get to the video here. Here's Kash Patel, though, folks, talking about security at the Capitol building ahead of January 6th as they're planning for a peaceful protest.
What were you doing on that day?
On that day specifically, responding to preparing to mobilize and deploy the National Guard once we got the lawful request from the local governing authority, which was the mayor of D.C. and the Speaker of the House.
Now, how many days in advance were you working to prepare the Department of Defense to help secure the Capitol on January 6th?
Days in advance, Senator. We were in the Oval Office on an unrelated national security matter with the President of the United States, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and myself. And the president authorized up to 20,000 plus National Guardsmen and women to secure any security measures necessary related to the Capitol. So we were moving to the fullest extent of the law before the requisite request came from a local governing authority days ahead of time.
And while you were chief of staff at DOD, how many times did DOD approach Capitol Police and ask if they needed National Guard assistance?
I believe those letters are well documented, numerous instances, and numerous of those instances, those requests were shut down.
Now, am I correct that the Capitol Sergeant at Arms said assistance was unnecessary?
That's correct, Senator.
Who did the Sergeant at Arms report to?
The Speaker of the House.
That would have been Nancy Pelosi at the time. Is that correct?
Yes, Senator.
And would that also be Chuck Schumer, then the Senate Majority Leader?
The Sergeant at Arms, yes, Senator, reports up there.
Did Mayor Bowser, the Democrat elected mayor in D.C., either request or allow National Guard assistance?
She put in writing on the days leading up to January 6th a declination for National Guard additional support. And that letter is available publicly to the world.
And just to speak English for folks at home, a declination meant she said no, don't send National Guard. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a simple question, because from the questioning from my Democrat colleagues, they might think otherwise. Do you condemn violence against law enforcement?
All of it.
Well, that's a fascinating exchange right there, Jason.
Now, let me start with here's Ted Cruz, looks composed, looks like a normal guy. Like if Ted Cruz was sitting at the bar, I'd sit next to him and have a conversation. Kash Patel, controlled, in charge. Ted's asking real questions to Kash Patel. Like suddenly Republicans have become kind of the normal ones, you know, instead of like the lunatics. And then this narrative Kash is spelling out. How come let's all be honest, January 6th does not get out of hand if there's enough security, military personnel, that kind of thing. It's like if you ever go to a rock concert and the rock concert doesn't have enough security guards, what happens? Like chaos ensues, you know, and you're at January 6th, whatever you believe about FBI informants or provocateurs, that kind of thing. Nancy Pelosi, the Mayor Bowser did not do their job ensuring there was enough people there to keep things under control. Like, that's it. Like whatever else you want to do. Now, how come there's no inquiry into Nancy Pelosi or inquiry into Muriel Bowser or inquiry into these people or firing the Capitol Police Chief because they didn't make sure they had enough resources or make sure they didn't have National Guard? Like, Todd, did you see any accountability for anybody in that?
I saw Donald Trump get blamed for it because he told them to go peacefully protest over at the Capitol.
So wait. You mean the guy who said go peacefully protest had all these hearings and all this nonsense,
and asked for
the people whose
National Guard,
right? The people whose responsibility it was to manage didn't manage it, and not a single one was held to account.
Well, and Jason, you know my other motto. We have a lot of mottos on the show today, but it's either incompetence or it's intentional. And you know where I land on most things now when it comes to our federal government. As dumb as AOC, as dumb as she is, and I use her as my proxy for all Democrats, as dumb as these people might be individually, they're not that dumb. It doesn't take a genius to figure out, like, if I don't have any prison guards, my prison's going to have a riot. If I have enough prison guards, we have peace inside these walls. Same thing applies to National Guard. If we have enough National Guard presence at the Capitol building, we'll be able to stop anything that happens. So you can't tell me this was all an accident, that they didn't know any better. You know where I land every single time on these now.
Unbelievable. Now, do we contrast Kash's questioning with Ted Cruz to what it looks like when Democrats question him?
Well, we have Adam Schiff. Do you want to see how Adam Schiff talks to Kash Patel?
Yeah.
Shifty Schiff in the Senate, folks. Just a reminder, he left the House to run for a Senate seat in California, and Californians elected him. After everything he did, not only does he not get held accountable for his lies, he gets promoted to the U.S. Senate.
And I got to say, Adam Schiff, pencil neck, watermelon head, Adam Schiff, he is one of my top 10 people in D.C. who belongs in Gitmo. Like, he has committed crimes against the American people of lying. He stirred up all the Russiagate stuff. He's done more damage to the Republic than almost anybody I know. It's insane.
All right, let's fire this one up.
I want you to turn around. There are Capitol Police officers behind you. They're guarding us. Take a look at them right now. Turn around.
I'm looking at you. You're talking to me.
No, look at them. I want you to look at them if you can, if you have the courage to look them in the eye, Mr. Patel, and tell them you're proud of what you did. Tell them you're proud that you raised money off of people that assaulted their colleagues, that pepper sprayed them, that beat them with poles. Tell them you're proud of what you did, Mr. Patel. They're right there. They're guarding you today. Tell them how proud you are.
That's an abject lie, and you know it. I've never, ever accepted violence against law enforcement. I've worked with these men and women, as you know,
you
my entire
glorified
life,
it in song,
and I did not make a single dime out of it.
In song. Well, let me.
How about you ask them if I have their backs, and let's see about that answer.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Patel. Let me ask you this. If an FBI director promoted a song of people who sprayed pepper spray in the face of an FBI agent, would you say they were fit to be director?
Mr.
Yes
Schiff,
or no? Would they be fit to be director?
I am fit to be the director of the FBI.
If you were the FBI director and you promoted a song with someone who beat an FBI agent with a pole, would you say you were fit to be FBI director?
Mr. Schiff, I am fit to be FBI director based on my 16
And
years
yet
in
you
government
did all
service.
these things, Mr. Patel. You can say, oh, I support law enforcement. I decry violence against law enforcement. You can say all that. It's what you did, Mr. Patel, that matters. It's what you did that matters. Well, let me ask you about something else. I want
Yeah, I do appreciate the comments, Jason, because he keeps referencing a song that, quite frankly, I have no idea what he's talking about, as plugged in as I am. And I'm guessing most people listening to the hearing or watching the hearing, if they do watch this, actually don't know what he's referencing. Like, they have to just pick something immaterial to whatever larger issues they are concerned about. Yeah, sure, the song. Yeah, okay, a song. Kash liked a song.
So the song he's referencing is the January 6th choir. So they actually had the January 6th political prisoners film a song. I can't remember what they sung. Somebody in the chat will remember the song. And they did it as a fundraiser for the January 6th people who to support their defense funds and to when they get out, because when Trump pardoned them all, these are people that have been like just swiped out of their life and in jail for 2 years. So a lot of them didn't have anywhere to go, didn't have any place to go. And hopefully all Americans can agree, whatever you think, even the people that got violent with police, like, we don't condone that, but they were prosecuted at a degree far more than anybody else has ever been prosecuted. Democrats used to care about stuff like that. Like, why are we throwing black men in jail for crack, but white guys are getting out of jail using cocaine? Like, that used to be a talking point. We were from Minnesota, Todd and I. When they burned our city down, people were not thrown in jail for 2 years without a trial or 20-year sentences for assaulting police officers. But this is such a nothing burger from Adam Schiff, where Kash helped promote this song that the January 6ers sung, so that as a fundraiser for their legal defense funds, because they were unfairly targeted by the Department
By
of
folks
Justice.
like Adam Schiff.
What's that?
By folks like Adam Schiff.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There it is. Dee Dee's got it. It was the Star Spangled Banner with President Trump reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I actually pulled it up, Jason. You want to hear it for a second?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
I'm going to pause it here, Jason. My thought right now is Adam Schiff is getting upset over a video featuring the Pledge of Allegiance and the Star Spangled Banner. It wasn't some like rap song saying "Free these J6ers, my man." Like, it was actually a beautifully produced song with some of the most iconic words in this country. I hate him even more for this now. Yeah,
Dee Dee with the fact check. That's for sure going to get you kicked off Facebook.
That's why we need to go to Rumble. We might not be here next Friday.
Yeah, they won't like that. But this is literally the song. This was going to the January 6th Defense Fund. Nobody involved with this made any money. It was one song. I mean, how many times? Like, we saw Kamala Harris promoting the Minneapolis Defense Fund, which was letting people out for assaulting police officers or whatnot when they burned down Minneapolis. And Adam Schiff is making this an issue. And I'll notice too, when he started with this, talking about like these police officers, these were heroes. Is he going to challenge Nancy Pelosi and say, hey, how come you didn't have enough people? Like these officers, you sent them to get their butts kicked because they were outnumbered way like 1,000 to 1, and Kash Patel even said, let's ask them if they support me. And do you notice Adam Schiff's like, whoa, no, we're not going to talk about this. Yeah. It is the most ridiculous thing ever.
This talking point, and Jason, I told you I have been really fired up the last couple of weeks. It's this narrative right here that bothers me so much, and I'm just disgusted at my fellow Americans that buy into it. Suddenly we're the side that doesn't like the police. How far back do we have to go to defund the police, bail out the BLM rioters and looters and everything else that they did during those last couple of years? I just can't. And yes, if you assaulted a police officer, face the charges. But like you said, Jason, anybody else that assaults a police officer is done by now. But the thing that these folks need to understand is the police officers, the protesters, they're all pawns. It was all just to get a narrative about Donald Trump. That's all this ever was. Dems are lying when they say they care about the police officers. We know that's not true. They lied about Brian Sicknick getting smashed in the head with a fire extinguisher. They used his dead body as a prop in the Capitol Rotunda just to make you think Donald Trump incited an insurrection. But they have the gall to say we don't like or respect or care about police. You used his dead body as a prop, Democrats. Absolutely appalling behavior. I expect them to lie. People like Schiff, that's what he does. But it's these normie Democrats in our lives that it's just like, I need to shake you awake.
Right. And that's what's remarkable, too, in this is think, back to that first clip we played with Nicole Shanahan. Like, she brings up a classic Democrat position would be we need to protect people from being charged incongruently with each other. Like, that was a talking point for Democrats for years, that you can't prosecute one set of people like this and one set of people like that. And these January 6 people, they're doing a fundraiser for their defense. Right to a good defense used to be a Democrat talking point. How many nonprofits are there out there? Like, Democrats use government money to pay for illegal immigrants getting lawyers to argue to stay in the country. Tax money, your money, they are okay sending to a lawyer to make sure that an illegal gets properly represented. But citizens who are thrown in jail for 2 years without hearings and getting these ridiculous charges, they're going to call out Kash Patel for helping them fundraise by playing the Star Spangled Banner with President Trump saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Utterly ridiculous.
Asinine. Pure asinine. I got to give a shout out to Nina Tagley. Nina joined me on my show on Tuesday this week. I do a separate podcast at the American Tribune Live with Todd Peterson, a second Rumble channel, folks. I encourage you to check out. But Nina was in there in the chats on Tuesday. Nina, glad to see you in the chats this morning. Thanks for tuning in to Freedom from the Press.
And like she says, he's been pardoned.
Yeah, it goes back to another comment here. And I think I said this on my own show on Tuesday. The Republicans should investigate Adam Schiff and bring charges like they did Trump. And so Nina said he's been pardoned. I don't care about the pardons at this point, Jason. I still want an investigation. You've been pardoned from being found guilty of a crime and serving any time in a penitentiary or prison or island in the Pacific we drop you on, or Guantanamo. Doesn't mean we can't investigate you. I think if we're going to get to the bottom of this, pardon or not, investigate it and release that information.
Well, I think, too, where it gets interesting is part of how these guys get by is they plead the fifth. Well, when you've been pardoned, you can't plead the fifth because the fifth protects you against, undue persecution or get yourself in trouble. Well, how can you plead the fifth if you've been pardoned?
Oh, yeah. Nina says, hi, Todd. Nina, welcome back. Yeah, thanks for joining us here. Can they still do that? You can absolutely investigate. And Jason made the comment here. This is what was coming up when they started to pardon Hunter Biden for everything under the sun. Is there a legal gray area now where you can't plead the fifth? So this could be fascinating to watch. Again, we want Donald Trump to be the monster the left makes him out to be. We want him to do all of this. I don't know about you, Jason. I voted for Donald Trump to flip this entire table over.
Right. Where do we go next?
All right, we got to do a little Amy Klobuchar and Dustin Grage. Amy Klobuchar, Jason, one of
my God,
Minnesota. I have to remind myself every day that people not only voted for her, but they re-elected her. Amy Klobuchar. What does that say about our fellow Minnesotans?
And just when you pull it up, just Just pull up that image first.
Oh, you want the meme that I dropped? Here,
Or
let me,
even just the video thing.
Statement and a mischaracterization of what I said. I encourage you to read the rest of the interview. This is why snippets of information are often general statement and a mischaracterization of what I said. I encourage
I just want to see how.
You've got 2 minutes.
I've come to talk with you again.
Oh, hey, we'll start it over from the beginning.
General statement and a mischaracterization of what I said. I encourage you to read the rest of the interview. This is why snippets of information are often misleading and detrimental to this committee's advice and consent
Well,
process.
if you consent, I would love to have 5 hours of questions and then I could read the whole transcript.
You've got 2 minutes.
Wow.
Hello.
Wow. Yeah, she knows she got burned and exposed right there. Yeah. How about you just ask a real question?
I was going to say, Amy Klobuchar, the point I wanted to make before we got into the questioning, look at just how sickly and awful and soulless she looks. Like, her skin's pasty. Like, I'm an old man falling apart. But, like, Amy Klobuchar, and you see this running trend on all these Democrats, especially the women, like, it's like they are lifeless vessels that are completely just feeling their soul sucked out of them, but all this evil that they're doing.
And wait until we go to the Rumble only. You want to see no more souls? Listen to these senators trying to go after RFK. They are arguing. I can't even say this on Facebook right now. You will be just astounded with what Democrats are arguing against trying to make America healthy. It is absolutely insane stuff here. We got one more clip of Klobuchar, and then I got the meme up ready to go, Jason. So
let's go.
The interview. This is why snippets of information are often misleading and detrimental to this committee's advice and consent process.
If you consent, I would love to have 5 hours of questions and then I could read the whole transcript.
You've got 2 minutes.
Wow.
Oh, okay. I thought I had a different clip there. Same one, just a different reaction at the end.
Oh.
All right, but here is there's all the Jason and I were joking this week, like, do we just want to do a show on the Karens and Marthas of the Democrat circles? Like, and then this meme popped up and it was like, okay, AI listens to everything, big tech listens to everything. This came up on our feed now, and you've got all of the greatest hits from Democrats. You got Hillary, Pelosi, Kamala, Jill, Dr. Jill, Kristen Gillibrand, Liz Warren. You got Tim Walz's wife Gwen up there. I'm not actually sure who the one on the far left is, Jason.
Oh, no, that's Margaret. Remember, she was one that J.D. Vance goes, frankly, Margaret, I don't care.
The Margarets, that's what it was. I said Martha's. But yeah, then you got Klobuchar down there. Yeah, here's my moment in the hearings this week. And they're all saying, welcome aboard, Amy. You are just as deranged and unhinged as the rest of us know.
And I got to say, and we have a lot of women that watch the show, so this is not all women. Like, please don't take offense to it. But I have 2 ex-wives. And like, you get this hen-pecked guy, like with this insane lunatic woman just screaming nonsense at him and whatnot. And like, that is every single one of those women. Like, that's why they're my ex-wives. Like, Jen would never behave like a lunatic like these people. But Amy Klobuchar, like, I would love to have 6 hours with you. Seriously, Amy Klobuchar, you really think you would want to try to debate Kash Patel for 6 hours? Are you insane?
Yeah. And of course, it was all empty, meaningless, because she had time right there that she was preparing for a long time, I imagine, with her huge staff. Like, you could have asked questions now instead of pretending to be concerned later in the private hearing session. I got to say, Jason, though, I don't know if we're allowed to say this on Facebook, but there's something about white women, liberal, like middle-aged white women specifically that vote Democrat. I don't know what it is. There just needs to be a larger explanation and conversation about, like, what makes these boomer white women that lean Democrat just like this.
It is truly astounding. And I mean, last week we showed the Pete Hegseth clips, were just phenomenal, where it's these women just screaming at him like, you won't let pregnant women go into combat. And I'm like, how is this even a rational response? And it was interesting too, because I was like explaining this to my wife earlier. When they designed the country, Margaret, when they designed the country, you got the House of Representatives that replaces every 2 years. And that's kind of where your crazies go, right? And, you get them in there, you get somebody like AOC or even MTG, let's be fair. And like they go in, they serve, they kind of cycle out. And then you get the president in there for 4 years, which hopefully you get a good one. And then you have the Senate, which is designed to be a very deliberative body. So theoretically, the Senate should be your more stoic people that look at things over a long term, kind of that they serve for 6 years and they're designed to be the ultimate adults in the room. And instead you've got people like Amy Klobuchar and Kristen Sinema and we have the Elizabeth Warren clips too, don't we?
Oh, don't worry about that. We got Liz.
Oh, I love that.
Man. All right. I think this was the other Klobuchar clip, though.
On Senator
Could he just answer the question if he said that the FBI headquarters where they investigate cybercrime and terrorism should be shut down and opened as a deep state?
Hey, Mr. Chair.
As a museum. Did he say that the headquarters should be shut down?
Mr. Chair.
I deserve an answer to that question. He is asking to be head of the FBI, and he said that their headquarters should be shut down.
Mr. Chair, parliamentary inquiry.
You got anything you want to say, Mr. Patel, before I go on to Senator Lee?
Simply this. If the best attacks on me are going to be false accusations and grotesque mischaracterizations, the only thing this body is doing is defeating the credibility of the men and women at the FBI. I stood with them here in this country. In every theater of war we have, I was on the ground in service of this nation. And any accusations leveled against me that I would somehow put political bias before the Constitution are grotesquely unfair. And I will have you reminded that I have been endorsed by over 300,000 law enforcement officers to become the next director of the FBI. Let's ask them.
Mr. Chairman, I am quoting his own words from September of 2024. It is his own words. It is not some conspiracy. It is what Mr. Patel actually said himself. Facts matter.
Facts matter. We had Adam Schiff out there saying, I don't care what he said. It's more important what he does. And then you got Klobuchar here saying facts matter. The only time they're concerned about facts or actions is when it doesn't impact them and they can project all their evil onto you and say, oh, now you're accountable for your actions in your speech.
Yeah, I got to say the chat, too, is on fire today. Andrew, when you can't control your emotions, you also lose control of being respected. Dee Dem men don't behave better than Dem women. Wait till you see, last week we showed the video of Tim Kaine.
And we got Bernie clips. We have so many Bernie clips. I got a Tim Walz clip. Yes, there is something unique about not just you're right, the white women. It is the boomer white men as well that are uniquely just insane.
Right. Now let's clarify, Todd. Let's just do a fact check here on the air. Kash Patel, who wrote the book Government Gangsters, great read if you haven't read it. He's been doing numerous podcasts, different things. Has Kash Patel said we need to shut down the FBI headquarters in D.C. and turn it into a deep state museum? Fact check, is that true or false, Todd?
I want it to be true, Jason.
It is true. 100% true.
Yep.
Now, why did
I
Kash
want him to do it? That's the part I want to be true.
Why did Kash Patel say we need to do that? Well, a couple of reasons. One, he is against all the people who politically target their political opponents. They are against people who have manipulated social media and different figures in the FBI. He also maintains that right now, and I'll have the stat wrong a little bit, but it's approximately 1/3 to 1/2 of all the staff of the FBI is located at the FBI headquarters in DC. And his position is we need to limit and eliminate the bureaucracy in DC, and we need to push those people out to the field offices, out into the field, catching bad guys, stopping terrorists, breaking up sex ring traffickers, that sort of thing. Kash has addressed this earlier in the hearing that Amy's talking about. So she's pulling this clip, making it sound like he wants to shut down the FBI. It's the same line of attack they used against Pete Hegseth in his hearing. Pete's argument was, when we fought World War II, we had 4 generals. I'll have the number wrong, so I apologize. But we had 4 to 6 generals, and they all had a staff of 70 people, and we won World War II. Now, however many years later, we have 60 generals with staffs of 300 each, and we aren't ready to fight a war. maybe we need to take the people out of the administrative, out of the bureaucracy, and actually allocate those resources onto the ground. And it's no different than anybody who's worked in a corporate environment. Like, you get to a point where you look and you go, okay, you know, if you're running a retail store, we got 12 managers and 10 employees. Like, maybe let's get rid of some of these managers so we got people that'll actually do work. That's what Kash Patel has said. That is his position. And that's why he wants to shut down the field office in DC and make it a museum to the deep state, as he phrases it. It's truly remarkable.
Yeah, as Kelly says, it was just taken out of context. You're speaking metaphorically. We need to burn it to the ground and turn it into a museum. Not literally, but as an example to point out all the rot and corruption. Amy knows that. Again, what was my motto earlier? It's either intentional or it's incompetence. She's not that dumb. She is not that dumb. I have another comment for Klobuchar about her own treatments for her husband in 2020 that I will have to save for Rumble. They never misspeak about whatever issue it is.
And when she's talking about, I'd like you to read, I wish I had 6 hours to go through the whole transcript. This is what she's talking about. The parts where he talks about how there were corrupt people. You know, he breaks it down in his book. Who did what? I mean, if you remember, you had FBI agents, the Lovebirds, who were talking about, you know, we've got a plan to make sure this doesn't happen. Like, this all happened, folks. And she knows that. And she is a liar. And it is truly remarkable that she thinks she can get away with it.
Yeah, not on this show, Jason. Not to the American people. All right, we got to get to Bernie. We promised some Bernie clips here. Here is actually, let's do Liz Warren first. I got a special place in my heart for Liz Warren. She is absolutely losing it here. Just enjoy this.
When you leave this job, you will not accept compensation from a drug company, a medical device company, a hospital system, or a health insurer for at least 4 years, including as a lobbyist or a board member.
Can you just repeat the last part of the question? Can I commit?
You're not going to take money from drug companies in any way, shape, or form.
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh. Yeah, I'm happy to commit to that.
Okay, good. That's what I figured. I said it's an easy question to start with. And
now, fact check. Does Elizabeth Warren take money from those same people?
I think we have the clip of RFK fact checking that for us, Jason.
Oh, preview.
I think you're right on this.
I don't think any of them want to give me money, by the way.
Let's keep.
Okay, so that was part one. So, yeah, Jason asked a good rhetorical question. She's going to go after RFK for taking money from Big Pharma. I wonder who pays all the ads on corporate news outlets shows, or who pays for these campaigns that these senators all, you know, try to get campaign donor funds from. This is really interesting, Jason. I'm glad Liz Warren's very outraged about having any Big Pharma money involved in politics.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank goodness for the staunch defender of no pharma money here. Here's one more.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You have said
you're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical.
This might be a Rumble only clip, Jason.
Nah,
we'll save our comments for Rumble.
Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
Look, no one should be fooled here. As Secretary of HHS, Robert Kennedy will have the power to undercut vaccines and vaccine manufacturing across our country. And for all of his talk about follow the science and his promise that he won't interfere with those of us who want to vaccinate his kids, the bottom line is the same. Kennedy can kill off access to vaccines and make millions of dollars.
Now, Todd, I want to back up and just make sure our audience listens to this. We're going to talk about this in Rumble in about 15 minutes. Listen to what she says.
Kennedy can kill off access to vaccines and make millions of dollars while he does it. Kids might die, but Robert Kennedy can keep cashing in.
Senator, I support vaccines.
Is the same. Kennedy can kill off access to vaccines and make millions of dollars. Promise that he won't interfere with those of us who want to vaccinate his kids.
Did you hear that, Todd?
Interesting comment there from Liz.
About follow the science and his promise that he won't interfere with those of us who want to vaccinate his kids. The bottom line.
I see Liz Warren speaking, but I heard a different pronoun, Jason.
Well, yeah, and we're going to talk about this on Rumble only, folks. We can't really, we better move on to the next clip, Todd, and we'll get back to this one.
All right, let's see what else we got here. I thought I had another good one queued up from Liz Warren, but it's buried here. Speaking of middle-aged white women, let's do this.
Trump's reckless action cut off funding to law enforcement, farmers, schools, childcare, veterans, and healthcare. While he was out golfing, he threw the country into crisis. This is not bold. It's not leadership. It's stupid, buffoonish, childish of exactly what they did. Childcare providers across.
And again, making fun of Tim Walz. It's low-hanging fruit. I know it's really easy to do. Again, the projection of leftists, he calls what Trump's doing is childish. Folks, we have just done nearly an hour of watching children in adult bodies berating Trump nominees for no other reason that they're trying to do good for this country here. And then Tim Walz is, of course, saying Donald Trump's a child for standing tough for America. It's childish. It's buffoonish. All you have seen are clips of childish buffoonery for this past hour. But he was mad. I loved this so much. Donald Trump is out on the golf course. The story goes that on the 5th hole, he's getting in a Twitter spat with Colombia's President Petro. And then by the end of the 6th hole, he's come to some tariff resolution to make sure that he takes all of the deportees back on his own plane. Like, Trump is just playing a round of golf, just badass move right here. And he is negotiating with the leader of a foreign country. And a couple holes later, he got exactly what he wanted while he's golfing. But Tim Walz is upset that Trump is tough on America, sending criminals home, illegal, violent criminals home.
Well, here's what I love about it, too. We just finished the Joe Biden years. Joe Biden, you never saw anything before 10 o'clock. You never saw anything after 4 o'clock. Joe Biden was a sleep in, go to bed early guy. He spent more days and weekends on vacation than any president in the history of presidents. Donald Trump, in his first week in office, has gone nonstop. Like, for those of us that are online, he's dropping notes at 5 in the morning. He's dropping notes at 11 at night. He's traveling. He's visiting places. Like, the guy has had a schedule that just can't be stopped. And now they want to give him grief. He's even on the golf course. Like, frankly, if President Trump wants to go play a round of golf, like, God love him. The guy's been working hard. And like Todd says, he's on the 3rd hole or 5th hole, whatever it was. And here's Colombia turned down their criminals being sent back to him. And then he sends out a tweet and calls Rubio, says, come here, we're going to talk about it. Before he finishes a round of golf, he has completed international negotiations on Colombia taking back. So think in the old world with Biden, like, that would have happened. Biden would have conveyed a meeting. Let's have a seminar. Let's do this. Let's do that. Maybe 3-4 weeks later, we address like the underlying cause of what happened. Joe Biden probably would have sent Colombia pallets of cash so that they will take their own criminals back. Donald Trump, like, doesn't even stop his golf game to get this solved. Like, that is how much more efficient our government is.
Man, it was good. So cool. All right, Jason, I actually don't know what this clip is. Let's find out together.
Conspiracy theorist.
I think we'll save that for Rumble. We got a Bernie clip. We promised some Bernie before we go.
promised some Bernie.
Do you agree with me that the United States should join every other major country on earth and guarantee health care to all people as a human right? Yes?
Human right.
No.
Senator, I can't give you a yes or no answer to that question.
Healthcare a human right. Is healthcare a human right?
Is healthcare a human right?
In the way that free speech is a human right,
yeah.
I would say it's different because with free speech doesn't cost anybody anything, but in healthcare, if you smoke cigarettes for 20 years and you get cancer, you are now taking from the pool. Well, and so are you guaranteed the same right?
I gotta say, I couldn't have had a better response. Jason, I think you and I need to dedicate some time to this, but where Kennedy is going with that example is exactly the correct response. I was so happy to hear him say this because I don't know, he's in government now. He might say, yeah, we'll take care of everyone. Like, no, if you make individual choices that affect your health, why am I on the hook for it? Like, I'm going to let you jump in here and then I'm going to come back in too.
I was going to say to go, we're going to go like back to the Federalist Papers with permission, Todd. We're going to get a little in the weeds.
Engage.
Permission granted. When they were talking about the Constitution of the United States, they were talking about positive and negative rights. A positive right is a right like free speech, freedom to, all the freedoms enumerated in the Constitution, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Todd, do those freedoms require anybody else to do anything?
No, they do not.
No. Now you have negative rights. A negative right is like healthcare, because for healthcare, does that require somebody else to do something?
Yes, you require my labor.
Right. So to explain how it works in America, we're going Schoolhouse Rock here, folks. Positive rights are rights that you're granted by your creator, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Negative rights are rights that require actions by somebody else. Healthcare is not a human right. The reason it's not a human right is it requires somebody to give money, somebody to provide service, somebody to make the medication, somebody to give the medication. Now, who gets to pick who has to provide those services? Do I get to walk up to Bernie Sanders and go, Bernie Sanders, you are now the janitor at the hospital? No, like I don't get to do that. Bernie Sanders doesn't get to do that either. Bernie Sanders doesn't get to walk up to a hospital and go, no, you need to now provide your services for free to anybody that shows up. Like, that's not how this works, folks. That is the most un-American stance ever. Not to mention what RFK is going down. Like, people need to be responsible for their own choices. But that is why healthcare, housing, food is not a human right. Now, you can say your ability to grow or produce food is a human right. Totally cool, right? You got a piece of land, you want to plant some crops. Ironically, our government is more than happy getting involved in infringing on your human right to grow your own food. Like, they'll regulate, you can't put this there, you can't use this here, any of that stuff. But yet they will want to say that food is a human right, meaning somebody else is required to produce food and give it to other people. Or they go up to a food producer and say, you need to give that to another people. This concludes my Schoolhouse Rock TED Talk.
And you know how they're frauds. They're frauds every time. Jason, my Tuesday show was on an hour of Selena Gomez when she melted down about the illegals getting sent home. And Selena has a mansion. She's worth $1 billion. She could provide for illegals, but she doesn't. They always extrapolate some nebulous idea of government will take care of it, and they're never impacted by the votes. Selena Gomez never has to worry about illegal criminals. The same thing applies here with Bernie Sanders and healthcare. If Bernie Sanders actually believed this, at the end of the day, access to free healthcare, what Bernie is saying is you just need someone else's money. We're going to steal someone else's wealth, labor, and time, but specifically money to go pay for your healthcare needs. I guarantee if I walked up to Bernie Sanders tomorrow and said, Bernie, I've got a $2,000 deductible for my kid's ER visit. Can you give me $2,000 right now? I can't afford that deductible. Do you think he would give me $2,000 even though he just said healthcare is a universal human right?
No, you know what's ironic about Democrats? Like, they're completely fine saying the government needs to provide this, but never themselves. Like, you'll see the videos going on social media where they'll have signs like, oh, nobody's illegal. And somebody will walk up to their house and go like, hey, I've got these illegals. They're going to stay in your guest room. And they're like, are you kidding me? Not my house.
Yeah, we did that for the election.
Yeah. I mean, Bernie Sanders has how many mansions? He's not taking in illegals or doing any of that kind of stuff. It is Bernie's arguments. People that listen to this are truly, they're dumb. They're either uneducated. Notice I didn't use the R word, Todd.
But you could have. It would have applied, Jason. I actually
It would have applied. And it's interesting because I get into some of these debates with people on Twitter because there still are, especially some of the young perns. Like I was on this podcast the other day with Troy Goldberg, who he's more liberal guy on Twitter, and we have positive exchanges back and forth. And we were talking about things like UBI and stuff. And I'm like, at no point does taking stuff from other people and giving it to a different group, A, that is like the most corrupt thing ever, and B, that never ends well. Like never in the history of humankind, once you let people starting to take things from other people, has it ended well. It just doesn't.
Yeah, and I just want to, I know this isn't the crux of what freedom is when you talk about positive, negative rights, Jason, but I just want to go back to the personal responsibility thing too, because Democrats are arguing, and when we go to Rumble Only in a few minutes, you're going to hear more of this, where they are arguing against a healthy country and healthy individuals. And it applies here as well, as RFK kind of brought up. If I smoke for my entire life, if I drink my entire life, if I eat fast food my entire life, versus someone like me, I haven't had a carb in like a month. I am miserable, but I'm losing weight. I'm getting healthier. And someone that works out all the time. Why should I, making these personal sacrifices? I love bread. I haven't touched bread in a month. I hate myself right now. If I go to the gym every day, I don't want to. It'd be easier to watch a show on TV. Why am I responsible for paying some other lunatic's healthcare when they're making choices that are, sure, easy in the moment, but destructive to their bodies? I have zero moral obligation, financial obligation to take care of them. If you want to be healthier, make healthier decisions.
Yeah, and I got to say, Dee brings up a great point, too. Anybody notice Bernie didn't bring up health care for all during the Biden administration?
We noticed.
And maybe this will be a good note to end on this hour before we go Rumble Only. Bernie Sanders is the biggest fraud in all of politics.
That's saying a lot, Jason.
That's saying a lot. And here's what I'm going to say is Bernie Sanders, I disagree with like 95% of his solutions. But let's say he believes in those solutions and he really believes that he's fighting for the people and that kind of stuff. Bernie Sanders had the chance to be as disruptive on the left as Trump has been on the right. Had Donald Trump not come down the escalator, like we would be having, like Kevin McCarthy would be in charge of the House, guys like Mitch McConnell, our presidential nominee would have been some milquetoast Mitt Romney type. Like all this would have happened. Donald Trump has fundamentally changed the Republican Party, where now guys like Todd and I, who weren't Republicans, like we were conservatives, we have conservative values, we hated the Republican Party because they were just all corrupt frauds like Paul Ryan and like all the Trey Gowdy, who gives a great speech but never did anything. We were sick of those guys. Bernie Sanders had the chance to do that on the left. Bernie Sanders had the feeling of people who understand fundamentally America's broken. And it's because our ruling elite's awful and they don't serve the people. They are rich politicians that just go to enrich themselves. Bernie could have broke that on the left. And I remember Paul Wellstone, before he died in a plane crash, I legitimately believe Paul Wellstone was fighting to make America better for people. I disagreed with many of Paul Wellstone's solutions, but I like the fact that he was fighting. Bernie had that chance. In 2016, he could have stood up to Hillary, and instead the coward took a knee, and he took the money, and he took the book deal, and now he's out there like spouting off about stuff that he has no idea. Oh, that's my Bernie rant. Makes me mad, Todd.
Listen, I'm going to be less generous to Bernie Sanders. I'm going to say it. It applies here. I'm going to go full R word on us. You can't be Bernie Sanders or a Bernie Sanders supporter and say the government is corrupt and then advocate for socialism and communism and say we want more of it. You have to be full-on retard to recognize the government isn't working and your solution is more effing government. I just can't with these idiots. I understand your point, Jason, about Bernie fixing the system in a sense that, like, yes, it's Hillary, it's the establishment, but you can't have Bernie Sanders' worldview and think the solution to corrupt government is more government. It earned the R word for the week. I haven't gone full retard in months. I had to drop it right here because there is no other explanation for these socialist communists out there that agree the government's corrupt. They agree with you and me, Jason. No, the government's not working. And then their solution is the exact opposite of what it should be.
Look, government is so corrupt and not serving the people. We need to have more government and give them more power, and then that'll solve the problem. I gotta say, somewhere Miss Todd's wife is going.
She's like, I was so proud of my husband. I'm probably blocked out of the bedroom for the next week or so.
Oh, Todd will be sleeping in a shed. Hey, on that note, Todd, should we take a quick 60-second break and then flip over to Rumble only?
Yeah, our Facebook audience, again, Facebook, love the comments, love the views. Thanks for joining us here. But this is where we got to call it quits because we're still not sure what Zuckerberg allows. And honestly, we like Rumble more anyway. So head over to Rumble if you want to keep watching the show. We are just getting started. We got to go full RFK. And the conversations that RFK had, we cannot air on YouTube and Facebook. So when the feed ends, you can still find us. Go to rumble.com, get the app on your phone, Rumble. It's green. It's got a little play button. Look for the American Tribune. We got Fally and Francis. They're over on Rumble right now. Join them at Rumble. Join us on Rumble, the American Tribune. We will be back in 60 seconds.
Yeah.